Welcome to Reframe Your Mindset for Success. With me today, I've got Sean Liddell, who is a mental health expert and has his own business called Mindful Training Ltd. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm good, thanks. I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. And what have you been up to this week?
This has been a fun week. I'm trying to cram 5 days of work into 3 days because I've got to nip up to Edinburgh and take my eldest, well, the middle one, eldest. Oh, I shouldn't hear the kids say that. Take the middle son up to Edinburgh to visit his university because they've opened up to do a campus tour. So suddenly it was all hands to the deck, and so it's late work, get the work done, and then have 2 days off midweek. So we're just about there.
Quite a busy week then. And what's he looking to study? Anything exciting?
It's quite an interesting one because he's got an interesting brain. So he's either going into IT and looking at physical networking of IT systems or psychology. So you've explained to me how he gets those two choices. I don't know.
Wow, that's a contrast, that, isn't it? That's a real contrast. Well, as you know, with the podcast, we always start with your story and you telling us a little bit about yourself. So if we could start there, and then obviously we get to some questions around mindsets as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please do. So, excuse me. I tend to think that mine's not so much a typical story, but it can be in so many ways, and it has been in so many ways. I didn't really have a direction when I was younger, and I just kind of fell into what I was doing. And it turned out that I was good at talking with people and dealing with the public as such. So I went into that sort of arena and then found myself in a corporate career. So I worked for some blue chip companies, had some great times with E&J Gallo, largest winery in the world, fantastic times there, really, really intense stuff. Whitbread, I was a national account manager there with them in the leisure division, just as they were changing into leisure and going away from brewing. So that was really interesting. And then spent 10 years in the corporate banks, which for me was not a great move. I love working with people. I work less well in a very regimented and very profit orientated organization, which as it was, I spent 10 years there. So that I did well. I was an associate director. I was, living the life and getting paid all the benefits for it and driving the cars, but it just wasn't feeding me at all. And then in 2008, I got made redundant along with 250,000-ish people when the world crashed. So the financial crash of 2008. It was called the toxic takeover, and Lloyds were forced by the government to take over HBOS, and I worked for HBOS at the time. So 80% of them kept their jobs, 20% of us kept ours. I was obviously in the 80%. And I went through 2 years of unemployment, which I'd never experienced in my life. So this was absolutely massive change for me. But what it allowed me to do after a period of poor mental health myself, because, that really, really puts strain that I've never, ever faced upon me. So I had depression. I was diagnosed with depression. And after therapy, talking therapies, I came back. And with the help of the people around me and one particular key person, he helped me bounce back and realize that I was completely doing the wrong thing for me and not living my life. And so now that's why I'm 11 years later, I'm a mental health first aid instructor trainer for MHFA England. I've just recently become an associate tutor for the City and Guilds for Suicide First Aid, Prevention and Awareness, mindfulness practitioner, and a coach accredited by the ILM. So this life completely different and so much more happy and enjoyable. And unbelievably, which I didn't really look at, and it was never my target, but more financially successful. But the finance follows just as a result in this life. I don't even concentrate or think about it now.
All right, well, that's an amazing story, and obviously, a real hard experience that you went through to get where you've got today. And it's amazing, isn't it, how being in such a difficult situation, for that to happen, I guess at the time it must have been so difficult, but for you to get direction and do what you're doing now, that's a massive pat on the back. So well done.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and it's, it isn't down to me. It's down to me being able to listen to other people who could help support and guide me. And that's what really helped me. When you talk about mindset, it was me opening my mindset to others.
Brilliant. So if I was to ask the question, why is mindset so important in what you do? So could you talk to us a little bit about that and what you do just in general, you know, as a mental health expert?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's, you can guess that mindset is incredibly important in my professional career, never mind my personal life, but you tend to find that it's a blend. So in the mental health arena, mindset's incredibly important. The mind is an incredibly powerful thing. What we direct it to, it can achieve mostly, but we don't tend to direct it. So we kind of just do what we think we should, or what we're conditioned to do, and that's the more likely thing. That's what I was doing in the first part of my life. So the fact that I went through this poor mental health experience, what I've learned is that sort of thing does not define me. It can, in fact, make me so much stronger, because it helped me understand what mindset is, or indeed can be, and how strong it can be, and how I can use it. And it's about choice architecture, this thing that we call choice architecture. So building the choices that you want to make when you want to make them, not being beholden to any conditioning that we've had since school, or nature and nurture and early environment. It's breaking all of that and building your own personal mindset to be as resilient, to allow it to be hit. You know, we're all going to be hit. Resilience doesn't mean that we won't get hit and fall down, but it is about bouncing back. And I think that's why it's so important. I've seen how I can bounce back. I've seen how other people can bounce back much more than me. So now I recognize the power of mindset.
That's amazing. Such a brilliant explanation. You're quite right. We can so easily just find ourselves on autopilot and potentially drifting in life, depending on what's going on in our lives. And you know, I think what I captured there is, you're so right, is that we do tend to get what we focus on. And I love that choice architecture. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
So you know, how would you describe then your mindset?
So I've really changed my mindset to become, I guess a few words would be open, curious, dreamer. They're the main ones. As long as I come back to that the superpower that is curiosity, then I keep myself wondering, hang on, could I use this to my advantage? Can I use this to help others? And that way I can take something that normally I might have reacted against and turn it into an open response, that possibly might even be of no use to me, but might be of use to another person. And I know that the more people I can help with physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical things, that it will come back to me at some point. So that's just what I do. I just react with curiosity. I mean, even when I don't, even when I react in the moment and I'm still the old Sean, which happens all the time, of course, then I can just catch myself in the moment. And that's when you use mindfulness, just to click your fingers and just, whoa, hang on. I don't need to do that. Let's just be curious. What could this be about? Where could this lead? And that's what really has helped me reframe everything. Curiosity.
Brilliant. That's really powerful. You know, I think that you know, at times in life, depending on what's going on in our minds, is that we'll play different scripts, and the script can be quite negative sometimes, or it can be positive. And you know, if you don't recognize the scripts that we're playing, then the impact it can have on your life is quite massive and devastating. So you know, we're talking about, you know, when we're in a good position, and we're aware of our mindset, but obviously you work with quite a lot of people that are coming to you because they've got some kind of issue, or they recognize that they're not strong mentally. So where do you start with that? How do you actually help people?
Yeah, there's two things. I mean, there's the beautiful thing about what we're moving through right now, if we were looking at this point in time, is COVID, is the pandemic. And basically that's, you know, 10 years worth of change in 1 year, which is why it's so painful. We're getting 10 years worth of change, and that's brought mental health right to the top of the agenda. More people are being affected more than ever before. So yeah, so we're getting more people. I'm talking with more people who are experiencing something that either they've experienced in small ways, or never really been curious about it or open to it, and just, you know, fluffed it off, but now they can't escape it. Through to organizations that are recognizing that to actually make themselves stronger and deliver more productivity, increased retention of staff, you know, all those wonderful benefits that they will get through mental health training, they have to tap into this. They have to understand and be open to talking about things. to get rid of this thing that we call stigma. The stigma is the thing that's held us back from understanding why we do what we do, why we're reacting as we're reacting. And also we have stigma with ourselves. So we're getting people, you know, I'm talking to loads of people all the time. And as I did, first time in my life where I experienced poor mental health and I didn't seek help and I didn't get diagnosed with it. I got through that myself, but that was ridiculously hard and tough and took longer than it should have done and was more painful. It's about being able to get rid of that stigma, to talk openly, to say, what is happening? What are these thoughts? Being open to it without actually feeling any judgment. So with yourself or with or from an organization, and more people and organizations are starting to do that, which will only make them stronger, be able to take, you know, one of the things that I'm telling people, because the data backs it up, is if you're not in the right mindset, if you have this thing called if you're experiencing presenteeism before, which is when we're in the workplace, when we are working, whether that's at home or in the workplace itself, and you're just not in the right place, you know, you've experienced something, you're getting hit by stress, anxiety, depression, bereavement, something, but you say, no, I'll get into work, you will only work at 75%, 50%, 25% of your capacity. So it's actually impacting the organization, and it's also taking you longer to recover. So the data from the Office of National Statistics shows that we lose twice as much productivity, call it whatever measurement of money that you want to do, to staying in work and actually trying to work rather than taking the time off to fully recover and recharge. And that's the difference. It's about helping people to actually accept that and be open to it.
Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, I think there's companies in the world right now that they're actually trialing the 4-day week, aren't they? Because and then trialing it with great success. You know, it obviously is you know, you can do your job in 4 days. That relief and giving people more time back and that work-life balance is having a positive impact.
Yeah. There's a Deloitte study that I always refer back. There's so many studies, but every single one shows that the return on investment for mental health training is just ridiculous. So the Deloitte's one, I love Deloitte is a great benchmark. So Deloitte showed that you get for every £1 that you invest in mental health training for your organization or for yourself, you'll get a return of a minimum of £5. And you tell me at this point in time where we can get £5 back from any bank for every quid that we invest.
Wow, that's really powerful. It really is. So what practical tips would you give others to develop a mindset? And I guess there's kind of two states here, isn't it? There's the state of when things are going well, and maybe the state of when things are not going so well.
Yeah, great. And it's great that you broke it down like that. And that's really important, because it's not just, you know, mental health is not just when we're in poor mental health. We all have mental health, whether it's good or bad. It's just all along that line. It's the same as physical health. You know, if I had the Michael Owen injury, the ACL reconstruction, and during that time, my mental and my physical health were awful. You know, 18 months of rehab before I could get back to even thinking about running and then getting back on the football field. But when I got back there, I got stronger both mentally and physically. And this is what I do now. I point my mind when I'm well, when we are well, let's make ourselves stronger. Let's be open, curious. Let's get that sense of discovery. Let's find out how we can build on our strengths. This is what we call in the health and care sector in the NHS, the strengths-based approach. So we don't just look at what we're weak at and improve that. We look at what we're strong at and we massively build that forward. And then when we get to these times when we do feel a little bit hit by this, that, or the other, first of all, we're in a good place, so we can actually recognize the triggers. We can recognize the state of mind, because that's important. If we don't recognize that and we go past them, then we're going to be deep in something before we even start to do something about it. And then there's the second side, which is actually being able to recover. So recovery is very probable from most, if not all, mental illnesses and disorders. Recovery is eminently probable. It's just about actually spotting it, dealing with it, and getting help and support to help you recover. Early intervention is always vital.
Right, I'm with you. So just picking up on a couple of things that you said there. I mean, firstly, I can't help myself but ask, so what position did you play in football?
I'm a classic centre back.
Centre back. I had a feeling you were going to say centre back.
Yeah, I was a no nonsense. Yeah, have it, get it up the park, take the person out with the ball. I'm afraid, just nobody's coming through me. That was me. I'm afraid. Yeah.
So you see, I played up front, so I think you kicked me at some point. So.
It's more than probable. I'm afraid. Sorry, Paul.
No worries at all. And the strengths-based approach, I think it's so powerful, isn't it? Because people tend to be excited and enthused when you talk about the strengths compared to if you talk about somebody's weaknesses and something that they're not good at, they're not really going to be motivated to improve that. So I do find that fascinating, and something obviously that you've used with organizations. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. That's the wonderful thing. We go in and to organizations and they expect us to say, oh yeah, let's have a couple of mental health first aiders. But it's not about that. It's the strengths-based approach. You've got to look at the foundations. You've got to look at how an organization can become a mentally healthy workplace. So it's all about that. And this is the same with us. So it's a 3-stage strategy. You look at the foundations, you look at the policies, procedures, and frameworks, the culture, and you work to change that. And that's what we work on. Then we work to instigate the mental health first aiders. So that's your key information. How do you want your mindset running? And so you get your mental health first aiders, not huge amounts of them, 1 in 10, 1 in 20. Brilliant, let's do that. But then what you need to do, of course, is you need to get all that information from your mind out to the rest of the body. So you spread the awareness and you do smaller courses for team leaders, supervisors, managers around the organization to help that culture embed. Otherwise, it's just a one-off intervention and it doesn't make a sustained change. So it's the same as for the mindset, same it is for the organization.
Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. So just going slightly off to who has actually helped you to develop your mindset. I know you said there was somebody who massively helped you at some point. So who have you learned from to develop your mindset?
There was the original guy, and I will mention him, and I'll send this over to him so he can hear this. His name was Sean Hennigan, and he's an incredible friend to this day. He's my mentor from those days, and got me started in training. He's an organizational psychologist, and he started off with one question, which helped me come out of my low mood and depression, which I was starting to recover from. And he asked me, what makes you happy? And that's where we started. What makes you happy? I couldn't even answer that. All I could answer him was what made me not happy, which was banking. So that was who started me off. So Sean holds still to this day, an incredibly special place in my heart. There are 3 main people, actually. Well, there's quite a lot, but there's 3 main people that I've come across as inspirations. There's Professor Damien Hughes, who you obviously know of. Yeah, he's amazing. I attended some of his lectures and about emotional intelligence and stuff, and just incredible. I may have borrowed a couple of his exercises as well. And there's another professor called Daka Keltner, who's out at University of California, Berkeley, and he is incredible. He's a co-founder of a place called the Greater Good Science Center, and everything they do is data driven. But it's everything to do with mindset, resilience, mindfulness, and positive psychology. And the studies that they do are phenomenal on compassion and caring. And it just blows me away listening to. He's written several books. He does a great podcast as well as you. You and he are my 2 go-to podcasts actually for the gym. Strangely enough. And there's a final guy that I love called Sean Acor, Professor Sean Acor, a Harvard professor, Happiness Advantage. And that's, again, discovered him early on. And I thought, wow, happiness, which is what I want to be. That's my single goal. I just want to be happy. 80% of every day, I want to be happy. That's my single target. That's how I'm successful. And I learned that from Sean Acor. It's an oversimplification, but that's in this time that we've got. That's how I explain it.
His books are brilliant, and he's actually fantastic live as well. So,
amazing.
Yeah, he's good, really good. So I mean, that's a good call out. I mean, to the likes of Damien, the likes of Sean, please check them out if you haven't. So yeah, thanks for mentioning them, Sean. They're real inspirations. And sorry, who did you say, was it Dakar? What was his surname?
So his name it's Dacher, Dacher, Keltner,
Right.
Keltner. Once seen, never. He's American. He's Californian. He looks Californian, but his work is just brilliant. It's just, oh my gosh, it's just. I love just seeing new videos or new talks with him. Just fantastic, wonderful.
Brilliant, brilliant. Great recommendations. So you've obviously had, it's quite a story. You've worked at different organizations, you've
Yeah.
set up business. So I always ask, have you got any fun stories that you could share, or a fun story, from your adventures, from your exploits? And I don't know, something might come to mind that you've done recently or in the past.
Sure. Yeah. So as you know, I started open water swimming. I was looking at Wim Hof for a couple of years, and the breathing and the mindset through Wim Hof, and I really wanted to try it. So last winter, I started doing it with a group of friends at a marine lake near to me. So we started in the winter, and it was phenomenally hard, tough, painful, but we grew into acceptance of cold, learning about the brown adipose fat, all the tissue that's inside us, all these things, and learned how mentally strong I can become by staying in water, freezing water for up to 20 minutes, which is what we were doing in the winter. But coming out, enjoying it, feeling amazing, and feeling this reset and all the advantages that Wim and his studies talk about. So it is incredible. I've got asthma, and it massively improved my asthma, which was incredible in the winter.
Yes.
It massively improved my asthma, which was just how cold water, and you're breathing it into your lungs, but it was phenomenal. So yeah, it's incredibly interesting how that works. And one of my clients is John West, who obviously do all the tuna and the salmon and everything else on the supermarket shelves. Great organization, running a leadership program with them over about 6 months or so. And they just happened to mention about swimming. So we get chatting. They say, oh, we actually sponsor the Great Swim. So I said, okay, yeah, fine, tell me about it. And it happens in different locations over the country each year. So I did it this year, and it was in Lake Windermere. And they said, go on, do the mile. You'll do the mile, no problem. You swim now. And of course, you let yourself get talked into it, and it's all friendly. So I did that, bought the wetsuit, started competitively training. And I don't like competitive Sean. I just like fun Sean now. But I started going back into competitive Sean until I got to Lake Windermere. And then I realized that I was hideously underprepared, hideously overconfident. And oh my goodness, I had to swim half a mile in this lake. They said, oh, don't worry, it's a little bit choppy.
Oh, no.
Every time I tried to do crawl, and every time I switched my head to the left into the open lake, I just got smashed in the face by waves, and I swallowed half the lake. So I ended up doing breaststroke, made it halfway, and at that point, the endorphins kicked in. I thought, this is it, punched the air, and just went to crawl. I went from breaststroke to crawl, and that was it then. Just my left calf seized up completely in the most incredible pain. And I was paddling water with one leg, yelling to the kayak, oh my gosh, help. So, so there was me. There was this brilliant, fantastic, victorious new experience reduced to me just limping back breaststroke with a cramped leg to finish it off, the final bit. And this is where I'll finish. I get to go out the lake, but you forget you've been swimming for an hour. So your body is used to being supported. So I went to put weight on my legs. Both of them instantly cramped, both calves. I collapsed. I face planted in the water right in front of this poor woman. And I was lifted out by two 70-year-olds who helped me out. Otherwise, I would have been drowning.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
They're asked, did you learn anything from that experience?
Oh, yes. Yeah, the importance of practice. Get back into being competitive, Sean, when you need to, Sean. Don't be so flipping smart next time. Yes, absolutely. Mindset is everything. Oof. Yeah, so I'm going to do it next year anyway. Obviously, got to do it. Got to beat the time. Yeah.
That is brilliant. That's a brilliant story. Fantastic.
Well, it wasn't at the time. I'll tell. Oh my! It took me 3 days to recover. I felt and I emotionally felt scarred and horrible and just I hate this. I hate swimming for 3 days. Haven't felt like that for over 10 years. Oh my goodness! But it was amazing. Looking back on it now, amazing.
I bet you've recharged now, though, aren't you? Ready to
Oh,
go. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
can't wait. Cannot
Brilliant.
wait.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So just to close off then, so final piece of advice to the listeners, what would you say?
Yeah, I think the final bit is do not be who you've always been. Accept that there may be different outcomes to what you are experiencing. Don't react. Just stop. Put a pause into life, into today, into this minute. Just stop. Just allow yourself to open yourself up to the possibility. Just be curious. That's all.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Great piece of advice. And it's been brilliant having you on, and such a wonderful story as well. And, you know, I've got my heart set on doing a bit of open water swimming at some point. I just haven't done it yet. So I might get the suit now and give it a go.
Definitely. Yeah, I completely recommend it. Have a great time.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Sean. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time.
Thank you, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks.